Have you ever looked at Elden Ring and thought, what would the game be like if the bosses were modified to be significantly harder? What if areas were changed to be more difficult to navigate? What if enemies were hand-placed to make every running section in the game nearly impossible, and weapons were randomized so it was hard to get a good build? Me neither, but someone asked those questions and created the Nightmare Seed. This is the hardest randomizer ever made, and honestly, maybe the hardest version of Elden Ring I have ever played. Between the custom enemy placement, randomized weapons, and even some new bosses you may have never seen, it was brutal. The goal is simple. We have to kill whatever boss replaces Promised Consort Radahn in the DLC, which means we also have to beat the base game to enter the DLC. That's the premise. Let the self-hatred begin. Starting the seed, we actually have some excellent class options. I picked the Flamberge to start and make my way into the chapel to try and fight my first boss. And it's Consort Radahn. Sick, we're starting in hell. He kills me and unfortunately I just respawn in the chapel. So we are gonna have to kill him to escape. I do eventually manage to kill him, and then I am blessed with a second phase. Promised Consort Radahn again. Jesus fucking Christ. This is where we start, dude? He kills me a few times, and I decide I'm gonna switch up my class. I go with the Dragon Scale Blade since this weapon has frost, and the flat lightning damage buff, making it one of the highest damage weapons in the starting classes. After about 20 minutes of fighting him with this new setup, I managed to clear phase 1 and phase 2, so we can finally play the game. Oh! Hey, baby! We got through the first boss. Already, I can see this is gonna really suck. Also, real quick, if you do want to play this mod yourself, I'll leave a link in the description to the Ignite Discord server where you can find the mod as well as a community of people to help you with it if needed. I make my way out of the starting area and am greeted immediately by Radahn. Dope. Rather than have him chase me down, I decide to use a little known tech and run south to get Torrent rather than running to Gatefront. I thought this was really smart, but I guess the mod makers were smarter because along the way, several of the graces just didn't work. Oh, you turned off Seaside? Oh, you colossal fucking pussies. Oh, I fucking hate you. Why would you turn off the grace, dude? And I made it all the way to Fort Height on foot without getting Torrent before I finally accepted I had to go the normal route. Rather than flee from Radahn, I chose to face him head on, and actually it wasn't that bad. After PCR for 30 minutes though, that kind of makes sense. I make pretty quick work of the soulless ginger, and half an hour into the run, I finally managed to acquire my beloved Torrent. Okay, what's next though? Merchant checks, I guess? And here I find another interesting part of the mod, the hints. This one tells me if I can't beat Stormveil to head to Castle Morne, and these helpful hints are sprinkled through the game, sometimes in the form of riddles, which is actually a very neat feature. In this little gathering section running through Limgrave, I found some Somber Stones and get my katana to +3 before finally unlocking Round Table by getting the Morgott. This area has lovingly been renamed the Cuck Chamber. Unfortunately, there is nothing at all useful here, but I can consolidate all the merchant bell bearings, so this is still not a bad thing to have. Time for our first dog shit running section, Fortnite. Trying to get in here is nasty, as there is invisible assassins and cemetery shades galore, which is a very fair and balanced combo. So I sneak around the back of the fort, and upon entering it, there is a big imp and about 30 Esgers and bleed dogs. Running on pure fear, I dodge, jump, duck, and dodge my way to the ladder, and actually managed to squeak by on my second try, which is kind of insane, but we get half the Dectus here, so fuck it, I'll take it. I also make my way down into Weeping, which was pretty chill, and at the Morn Merchant, I find Alabasters for sale for a measly 550,000 runes. I also check Castle Morn, and the entrance has just been fully blocked. Sweet, just glad I tried to come here first. Thank you very much. That note was helpful. So we've gathered some items and some runes as we ran around, and I now invest in a little bit of health to make my journey easier. I'm still trying to think of ways to get into Castle Morn, and I decide maybe the mod wants me to use the teleporting chest in Weeping. It's a stretch, but like, it kind of makes sense. So I go and take that, and thanks, Shura. Appreciate it, dog. Yeah, that's not what I wanted, but it is what I should have expected. Okay, Weeping's off the table for now. I go check the merchant by Fort Height just to finish up all my merchant checks, and we find yet another riddle. If weapon levels is what you seek, go back to what was underneath before the gates of hell. Seeking health and prosperity, seek not the skies, but delve below. 252. If health is critical to your journey, south you must go, scour the lands for gravity fields, and open closed doors. Okay, so the first one is for sure referring to Soldier of Godric, brick since the first grace was renamed to the Gates of Hell. And the third one is probably something in Weeping. Not quite sure about the second one, but maybe it's referring to Shiffra. Well, first things first, let's go fight the Rick replacement. The run can't be that bad. Okay. No, this is good. What we have here is Peak. Okay, never mind. That's awful. Gaius, Falling Star Beast, and a sniper in a cave? I'm good, dog. With more health, it might be manageable, but I'm gonna do something else right now. So we make the smart pivot into Shiffra, or so I thought. Torrent is immediately disabled in this area, so I have to go on foot to get to the next elevator. What's to the left? About 6 revenants. Okay, so we'll go right. Here's a good time to explain a few rules. First, quitouts are not allowed. These running sections would be super manageable with constant quitouts to reset enemies, so they're just straight up banned. Secondly, all spells, bows, and throwables have been disabled in the mod. You can find them, but you literally just can't equip them. They just aren't in the menu when you try. This means there is no way to lure enemies to a location for you to try and clear a path. These rules effectively mean you just have to face these running sections head on, and as I valiantly tried these running sections, I've been using the opaline bubble tier I found earlier, and had a realization. Oh, those fucking bastards, dude. It's not the scaling. Bubble tier gets you one shot. Yep. The bubble tier just makes you one shot in this mod, which is a sick feature. Very cool, modders. Thank you. Back on task, though. I finally weaved my way through these 7 revenants and managed to get to Shiffra proper. Time for some torch lighting, and this was another atrocity. Each of the torches had its own unique hellish protection, and it was truly a bad time. I left here because it looked so bad and decided to take the side route into Liurnia, but they just deadass removed the bridge and moved the cliff to make the skip impossible, so I guess I'm not going that way. Fuck, man. I'm starting to run out of comfortable paths. I managed to light the rest of the torches relatively easily, even though the guards were problematic, but one particular torch was devilish. Big Imp torch. Look at this rancid trash. That has to be like 8 big imps on this stupid lamp, and there's also electro balls around it. I died a lot just trying to get in here, and after enough concussion percenting, I just got lucky and managed to survive long enough to light it. Oh no, I'm so close. Oh, that sucks. Oh! Hey, we got it. And now we can finally fight the boss in this area. Oh joy, Triple Knights Cav. I give this the old college try, but turns out I am one shot, so no. I'm encouraged by the fact I could lure them one at a time, but this is a later problem for sure. I decided to solve another one of the riddles which referred to gravity fields. There is this weird gravity area in Weeping, so I kill all the enemies here, and apparently that unlocked the Impaler's catacomb. I didn't check it first to see how it was locked, but the mod creators told me that, and I trust them. For now. The run through this catacomb still had some pretty terrible enemies, but after Shiffra, it wasn't that bad. So I managed to unlock it, and now we get to fight a real boss. And by real, I mean 2 Leyndell Knights and a Black Knife Assassin. Honestly, I'm down. This is by far the most approachable thing I've had access to. My weapon appears to be doing real damage as well, which is sick. So I make very quick work of the 2 Leyndell Knights, and the Assassin gets bullied next. My reward for finally finishing something? Assassin's Crimson Dagger, which isn't bad per se, but I thought I was going to get something really useful, so that's a bit of a letdown. Okay, now I'm starting to feel myself. Let's try the Rick Cave again. I'm gonna just let you watch this one so y'all can appreciate what I do. Oh, Gaius has never come back up before. That was new. I need you to move. Please. Please fucking move. Lobster. Alright, here comes Grafted Scion. Oh! Oh! Oh, we did something! Sweet. That was actually doable. And after spawning back in, I can pick up the Smithing and Somber Bell Bearings 1, which is huge since I can now somewhat pivot my weapon if needed. Rather than do something reasonable now, I decided to head into Detroit, actually properly named in this mod, just to see what kind of rancid garbage got cooked up over here. And actually it's okay. I managed to peacefully do some item checks and find the Dragon Crest Talisman, which is goated for defense. I also find a new riddle that is very easy. It says, go to the Great Jar. So I will investigate that. And it turns out that this is just a more horrendous NPC fight, so fuck that, we leave. Looking to get some more value out of Detroit, I need some runes. So I go beat up Grandma Dragon Grail and get my runes. And a bunch of kindling shards? This was a bug that is now fixed, but kindling shards are how we will be progressing in the DLC. So let's just pretend that never happened. Anyways, time to get through Fort Faroth for the key item check. Never mind. That shit is ass. So it's time to give Stormveil a try, I guess. The problem is, this fight is kind of a puzzle. There's a bunch of spirit snails and Theodorics. The real problem is the boss bar doesn't go down when I fight the worm, but sometimes it does when I fight the snails, but not always? Okay, I have no idea what is going on here, so let's get some power-ups. Hopefully. In that line of thinking, I go check another merchant in Caelid, who blesses me with a somber 3 and 5 for my weapon. I use those to get a +5 dragon scale, and now I'm feeling a bit better. While I'm running around Dragon Barrow, I noticed some PCRs and decide to fight one for the lols. And actually, it wasn't that bad. I beat the brakes off this first one and get a huge influx of runes. So I just start murdering. And after 2 more Radahns and Dragon Barrow, I'm actually really juiced up in the levels department. Okay, I think I've done all the gathering I can. Time to face some of my fears. Up first, we have Michael, Jonathan, and Rambler, the Knights Cav trio. I will not be showing how much I suffered at many of these bosses, because this video is gonna be long enough. But I will explain the results of my many attempts here. First things first, I discovered it is possible to lure these horsemen into battle one at a time. This arena is also big enough that once I get one, it's easy to stay far enough away from the other two to avoid aggroing them. I don't have a lot of damage for a +5 weapon, and I don't have many heals, but dealing with them one at a time does make it doable. After murdering Rambler and Jonathan, I just have Michael left. At this point, I am out of FP, so no ice lightning buff can be put on my sword, but I am patient. Already the Nightmare Seed has taught me humility, and this allows me to not be a greedy fuck and finally beat the Knights Cav trio. Barely though. I had no heals or health left. Now for my reward. Oh! Finally, dude. 1 sacred tier and 2 golden seeds? I'll fucking take it. I'll fucking take it. It's fine. I mean, not the best, but fuck it, I do need more heals. With that, it is finally time to make some forward progress in this godforsaken hellscape. It's time to approach Stormveil once again. With my new build, I have a decent attempt, and I finally figure out what is going on in this fight. All right, I don't think it's all the snails. I think it's just one of the snails. I have to figure out which fucking snail it is. I just have to find the one fucking snail. Yeah, so amidst the 50 invisible snails and Theodorics, there is one snail I actually have to find to end the fight. Let's see if I can pull it off. Okay. Let's go! I've solved your riddle, puzzle masters! Fuck you! And there it is. After 4 hours, I am finally beginning to make real progress. Now I get to experience Stormveil, aka the breaking point. And the start was bad, but I managed to get to the Bridge Grace pretty easily. Now bear witness to the absolute atrocity that is running through Stormveil. Oh yeah. This is what I wanted to see. True pain and suffering. Just shove it right inside me. I may have gotten a little lucky here, but this is the route I came up with. All right, come here. Fuck. Okay. We made it through Stormveil. More or less. Boys, we are moving. Unfortunately, the elevator is blocked, so I do have a little bit of running left. Namely, the bird run, which is normally awful, but as with everything else in this mod so far, has been made into a war crime. Okay. There it is. We've made it to the Godric replacement. Let's see what it is. Oh, Morgott? This should be chill. Oh, he does Deathblight. Oh, he does Deathblight. Oh. Alright, not chill. Morgott the Tainted is essentially a no-hit fight. Fine by me. On my second attempt, I am much slower and more cautious. Now that I'm aware he is doing Deathblight and bleed buildup, I play smarter. Thank God I have a ton of experience on this boss, so I can no-hit it pretty easily. And bada bing, bada boom, the Tainted is down. And I've made it into Liurnia. This is big team. I have now completed in over 4 hours what normally takes 15 minutes. Joy. First things first, I check the shore merchant and immediately start getting blasted by sleepy gummy worms. Fucking so sick, dude. Thanks for that. Now comes a very slow and tragic journey through Liurnia that mostly involves constantly getting sniped by pink sleep fuckery until I finally get to the teleporter to Raya, which sends me right back to where I started. Awesome! So I check the new riddle at the merchant, which just says to go to the Dragonkin in Nokstella, and then pick a different route to go through Liurnia. The east side of the map is much more forgiving, although it's still a clusterfuck. Once I make it to Raya, I begin checking graveyards for useful items. And God bless the mod makers because we find Alabaster and Great Stars, which are two exceptional randomizer weapons. Next, I make my way to the Raya key check, which does have some golden seeds and sacred tears for better healing. I make my way through the rest of this area, only getting mildly fried, and eventually get to the Bellum merchant, who has another lovely hint for us. Severed by madness, the two-headed turtle lies waiting to be made whole again. Twin foes hold its fate. Okay, this is a little more obscure than the others, but these little side quests have been mildly useful, so I'll ponder it. There is another key item check to do, which is the imbued sword key at the belfries. At the top of the hill, we have the casually placed running section Radahn, whomst I shit on to get my items, which happens to be 3 imbued keys. I wonder if that means the teleporters will be useful. I use the first key at the closest belfry, and lo and behold, I'm teleported into Castle Morne. Sick. That is what is next. But let's quick check the other 2 teleporters before that. Teleporter 2 takes me into Stillwater Cave, which I can't teleport out of. Nice. So after a quick dog shit run, I arrive at the boss. 2 Telus and their pet. Cute. This is a pretty quick fight. I just have to stagger these guys and do butthole riposts. Overall, very free. I do actually get the bell-bearing 2s here, so that was an awesome detour. I do check the final teleporter, and it's just Bael, who appears to be fully unscaled. No damage for me, and 1-shots for him? Yeah, fuck that. I guess it's time to finally solve the mystery of Castle Morne. Upon going up the elevator, I am greeted by the corn maze, the first truly diabolical creation in this seed. An actual fucking maze filled with aging untouchables and birds. Brother, what the fuck are we doing? This actual war crime sucked, and I spent most of my time here slowly sneaking or running in a full-blown panic. I honestly could not find a way through. I was pretty thorough in my exploration, and there didn't seem to be a path forward. So I did the logical Souls thing and started running into walls. And I'll be damned, but there it was. Not a breakable wall, but just straight up a fake wall that you can run through.
What did we learn right there? Never trust the walls. The walls aren't real.
That is diabolical work, I must say. From here, the rest of the run was pretty free up to the Leyndell replacement, Mr. Wins Games himself. I am sure this will be a normal, fair fight. Oh wait, he applies every single status effect except Deathblight. That is something. After a few fair and not at all infuriating deaths to this very balanced boss, I lock in. By just taking the fight slow and being very careful to not get comboed, I managed to get it down and am rewarded with my first of 7 great runes. I will need all 7 to finish the base game, so that's a huge step. With that done, I return to the Great Jar to finish solving this riddle side quest thing. I used the gravity cheese here to get them done since I verified with the mod makers that it is allowed. After a long bit of cheesing, I talked to the Great Jar for my reward. A golden rune 1. Oh, so the fucking hints can be bait. That is so fun, dude. Moving on, I have a major boss check at Loretta, so it's Caria Manor time. This run is as dog shit as the rest have been so far, but I'm acclimating. The worst part by far is the Ghost Bridge, which did get me a few times. My stubborn ass eventually just powers through it though, and I'm onto the boss. One of my personal favorites, Gary Garrus, with infinite lightning balls in the arena. Oh my god. Luckily, on my second try, I think a little bit. By standing at the entrance, some steel chairs block the lightning nuts, and I can simply fight Gary. On his own, he's really not that bad, and I make quick work of his bitch ass. I get more heals and the academy key for my efforts. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a way forward from here, so it's on to Hogwarts. I think I'm getting warmed up to how things work in this hellscape. I'm ready for the Raya running section. It's the usual clusterfuck, but I use my full power to just run through like a maniac and blitz this shit. I maybe get very lucky here, but on literally my second try, I am through and almost to my next 2 item checks at Red Wolf and Rennala. The run to Red Wolf is still annoying, but when I do it, I am greeted by Deathbird and friends. Perhaps my least favorite enemy boss combo I have ever seen. Truthfully though, it's kinda doable at this point. I've juiced up my weapon, and the baby birds and big bird fall to my superior strats and tech. Also, I've played a lot of randos, so like Deathbirds are my bitch these days. From there, it's straight to Rennala. And oh boy, this is a doozy. This is a 2-phase fight, so we get 2 bosses. And up first is one of the worst in the game, Sinisax. My damage isn't horrendous here, but this fight is still putrid trash. I just have to chase the legs and start whacking, and since I can't see the attacks, I just have to blind dodge the AoE that comes with each claw swing. I've practiced this fight a bit here and there, so I'm not awful at it, but my god is it an atrocity. I do get it done, but I've used a lot of heals as we get into phase 2, which is Plassy. Double dragons that are both difficult. Very appropriate. I am terrified of the lightning here since we are in the water arena. That shit is gonna hit like a drunk stepfather. I'm proud to say this did not cause me to act like too much of a bitch. With low heals and high stakes, I just bum rush Plassy, trying to get in as many hits as I can between his attacks. It helps that Dragon Scale has a 10% damage buff to ancient dragons, so I'm hitting just a little harder than I normally would. I'm in my element here, and for the first time in this seed, I first try a boss.
Let's go. First try to boss.
That feels so good to say. I also get a talisman pouch, which is quite the helpful find. Onward. I make a plus 12 cold great stars, which is a bit of an upgrade from the Dragon Scale Blade for sure. I try to make some progress on the Dragonkin of Nokstella's side quest, but unfortunately encounter the worst running section so far. Yeah, that is not gonna happen right now. Let's try some other side quest. For the first 2-headed turtle hint, I investigate stuff around the Frenzied Flame Tower. Black Knife Catacomb has been renamed to dog. So I have a feeling this may be what I was looking for. It's much easier to do this running section after witnessing the horrors in Ainsel. And the first boss in this catacomb is a bunch of basilisks in a small room. Very funny. Not all that bad though. I have good damage and quickly murk these sneaky snakes to get the great turtle shell. This shield boosts stamina regen, which is actually great for running sections. After a little more running, I unlock the real boss of this catacomb.
No, not the Albies. I don't want to kill them. Oh, I feel bad, dude. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Green turtle talisman. There we go.
Yeah, that felt bad. But again, green turtle talisman for stamina regen is really useful, so it had to be done. Rest in peace, Albies. All right, this next riddle was maybe my favorite to solve in the whole mod. I'm friends with the mod creators, and the last hint in Liurnia leads us to the catacomb under the other Erdtree avatar, renamed to Ratty's Domain. This area was filled with rats, but it's a very quick catacomb to solve, so I'm into the boss fight fast as fuck. Here, I must face my own brood. My beloved children could not handle the punishment of great stars, and for the murder of my own family, I get the Crimson Seed Talisman, which buffs healing. That honestly worth it. Fuck them kids. Time to get my second Dectus half. With all my extra health, getting through Fort Feroth is still awful, but I do actually get to the ladder now and acquire access to Altus.
It's finally time. We go. I fucking hate my life, dude.
Yeah, I got teleported into a cave, specifically the Raya Crystal Tunnel. Not a bad cave, but I can't get out the normal way, so I guess we're doing it. The neat part about this cave in this mod is the actual tunnel at the top is sealed off. So you may think, how are we even getting through here? Well, my friends, this is where my 1500 hours of playing Elden Ring come into play. There is actually a skip in this tunnel that almost no one knows that usually makes it a bit faster.
There we go.
I died a few times trying that because I haven't done it in a hot minute, but thank God I knew it existed. Now we can actually get to and fight the boss in this tunnel. Magnus, my twin. Tragically for him, my Great Stars also has frost, unlike his, and actually happens to be one of the better NPC fighting weapons. So, Magnus catches my spiky balls to his dome, and I am freed from the rat trap I found myself in. In the most blessed turn of events, the teleport out of the tunnel also takes me to Altus, so we can continue to make progress. In Altus, I do the textbook rando strats of checking merchants and graveyards, and I find new riddles for us to enjoy.
So if you feel yourself faltering to the sin of greed, enjoy the aroma but don't let it consume your soul. That's the Perfumer's Cave. If stress and fear are making your knees buckle, defeat the demigod of red and search for the souls of never-ending warfare. That's probably Radahn or Melania. Then underneath the city of gold, great treasure awaits those who persevere through the hardest time. So there's a great ruin at Sewer Mohg.
Fair enough, so we have some leads now. The second merchant also has a note that reads, one whose health bar exceeds their dong should reach the top of the Divine Tower for stats beyond your wildest dreams. Honestly, my stats feel fine, but good for later maybe. I think first things first, I'm going to investigate the Radahn hint since I just unlocked that fight. It's relatively easy to get to Castle Redmane, and I'm just gonna let this fight speak for itself.
There we go. Start doing work. Almost out of fucking heals. This is a nightmare. All right, there's another one. Let's throw down a warming stone and vibe. All right, we should just have one Radahn left. I'm gonna get up to full health because I'm out of heals, but we should be able to deal with him. All right, he's just fighting the air. All right, let's go, dog. Oh, that hurts. Let's get this dude down. Come on. Square up. I'm actually doing pretty good damage. Oh, let's go. Big riposte. Alright, he took off. That should be fine. One last kill. Let's go. Get out of here.
The glorious triple Radahn fight. Truly the thing no one ever asked for. From here, I run to War Dead Catacombs, renamed to Your Dead Catacombs. A good sign this is the hint solution. Also, just quick checking in on stats, I have 50 Vig and bare minimums to use weapons everywhere else. So not great, but decent. Getting through this catacomb is pretty ass, and unfortunately the boss at the end is even more ass. Triple Fire Knights. This is a fucking abomination, and it sucks. So I guess I'll do it later. Time to pivot. Next, I decide to investigate the Fragrance of Greed hint in Altus, and the run through this cave is very free. The boss is an envoy of envoys, which is pretty funny, but also very free. I might just be a little overleveled, and after getting spanked by some knights, this is the refresher I need to restore my hopes and dreams. They dropped the Golden Scarab Talisman, which would be really useful, but I'm pretty sure I immediately forget this happened and never use it, so oops. For my next trick, I head to the Precipice. Makar is actually my last boss check in Liurnia, so I just want to get it done to check this area off the list. The first part isn't too bad to get to the Grace, but from there to the top, I'll let you judge.
That section isn't horrendous. That part isn't too bad either. This is the part I'm worried about. Fuck. Dead? Rotted. There we go.
I feel like that was terrible, but we made it. And for making it, I am granted an audience with my 5th promised consort. How original. Luckily, he has no health, so I beat the brakes off of him and get an iron wet blade for my efforts. Not a great rune, but still useful. Apparently though, that was a bug. Luckily, one of the creators, Nexus, was in my chat. He caught it and had me spawn in the discarded palace key, which was actually supposed to be placed there. So good save, and they fixed it when they realized it was broken. So W playtester, Ratty. With that, I've officially completed Liurnia, Weeping, Limgrave, and most of Caelid, so it's on to the capital. Guarding the entrance to my next boulder is Ymir. I'm currently in my NPC bullying era though, so rather than plan, or be smart, I just play like he's a pinata. I run down the fake finger mommy and blast light attacks. Somehow, this is actually working, and my bully tactics prevent me from being fingered. So into the capital, I suppose.
Come on. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Not having sound on this guy is gonna suck. Can I do it just based on timing? I think I can. That was nasty, I'm not gonna lie. Oh no. Please stop. I am just little guy. Wait a minute. That might actually be huge. The untouchable fell off the branch. We got hope. Get in there. Hell yeah.
So yeah, that is by far one of the worst things we've had to face. And now I get the privilege of fighting the Dancer of Radahn with a twist. She has unlimited heals. You heard me, but I'm going to say it again. She has unlimited heals. I think the most I saw her pop was like 11 before losing an attempt, but it really is just a tragedy. So I had to actually come up with a strat. But all that I came up with was running at her and spamming. My hope here is that I can keep up enough pressure to prevent her from healing, and failing that, I do enough damage that she doesn't fully heal. The problem is, she lives up to her name, the backstepping queen. This bitch will back up anytime she can. To solve that problem, I try to get her back up against a wall. So if she does try to flee, she isn't going anywhere. With that, I really still have to work for this kill. Stamina management and positioning are crucial, and this might be the worst time I've had fighting an NPC, which is saying something.
There it is. Oh my god. What the fuck was that, dude?
Beautiful. That part of the nightmare is done. Capital has really seemed like a step up in difficulty, though. We just got Morgott left. Time to see what it is.
No! Not lobster, crab, and ladder. Fuck. For those of you that don't know, Lobster Crab Ladder is maybe the most competitive speedrun category in Elden Ring. If you've never heard of it, I don't know what to tell you. You're not playing right. This is actually really hard. They hit really hard. Just fucking go in and jump attack. Oh my god. You're not gonna sleep me. Alright, we got lobster. Lobster's always the hardest part of Lobster Crab Ladder. Crab ain't easy, but it ain't no lobster. There we go. We got crab. Now, last but not least, you gotta get ladder. And this is the underrated part of the run. I can't climb the ladder. Fuck. No. Come here, ladder. Come here, ladder. That's the single greatest boss I've ever seen in my fucking life. That's awesome.
Okay, that was glorious. Big fan of that fight. Talking to Melina gets me the rolled medallion, so I can now get to the mountaintops. Is what I thought. Turns out the run to the Forbidden Lands is deep-fried, rancid dog shit. The approach to the first elevator is horrendous, and the top of it has an untouchable that wraps me up and fondles me harder than necessary, so this is in fact a problem area. So I go check the merchants for a parry shield and actually find a note I missed. This one says do the Academy Crystal Cave for great treasure. so I'll keep that in mind. I bought a parry shield at the merchant as well, but when I went to look for it, it wasn't in my inventory. This is what happens to bows, spells, and consumables when you pick them up, so you can't use them to make running sections easier. This leads me to the horrible realization that parry shields are in fact disabled. So that untouchable that was fondling me continues to be untouchable. I've collected many somber stones at this point, so I do decide to get the alabaster up to +8 and respec to make it my main weapon. I lose a little health in this respec, but get a lot more damage, so worth it. With the new blaster on my hip, I head back to Your Dead Catacombs, since that's about all I can do besides the hell run to mountaintops. As I return to the night fight, my build is looking decent. I have Winged Sword and Thin Dragon Crest, Crimson Seed, and Green Turtle Talismans, which all work fairly well defensively. Let's get this bread. The start of this fight is a mess. All these fire dudes have ranged attacks, so I try to fight one while keeping a pillar between me and the other two. On the bright side, my damage looks really good, and heavy attacks do micro stagger them. That's the only bright side though. This is still a trio fight against enemies with ranged options that hit like freight trains. It is not a great experience. Still, I faced worse odds, and once I manage to get this down to a 1v1, it's pretty free. Like for real, just one of these dudes gets absolutely bullied. It's kind of insane. My reward for this fight, the Buckler, which I can equip, making it literally the only usable parry shield in this entire mod. I'll take that, for real. Now I get to concussion percent the run to the Forbidden Lands. It still absolutely sucks. I was here for over an hour on this running section, and this is where the Nightmare Seed really lives up to its name, because I lost the footage of the end of this session and don't have my successful run. Even writing this script has been brutal. Zooming out for a second, this atrocious dog shit run was done 3 months ago, and I am just now posting because between some recording issues and the script, it has been fucking me months later in real life. God damn it. Anyways, I'll probably have like a montage of me dying at that running section while I said that. Holy shit. All right, stay locked in, stay locked in. Stay locked the fuck in. We need to get to the grace. There could be anything else. And I did eventually make it past on some lucky bullshit to get to the mountaintops. I bet this kills me. Crazy. Who could have foreseen this? That's where I ended my first day of the Nightmare Seed. Picking up on day 2, we are in the mountaintops, and I have a merchant to check. And of course, he has another lovely riddle from our game masters. If your arms have grown weak and heavy, seek out the castle guarded by fire. If your legs don't work like they used to before, reach the Tree of Hope and find the catalyst for the Soul Sucker. Yeah, I got no idea what that means, but we move forward. I checked the Fire Giant Arena in the lost footage, so I won't spoil, but we are not doing it right now. Instead, I decide to do Academy Crystal Cave, which allegedly has great treasure. So hopefully we get another great rune here. And honestly, this is one of the most chill areas yet. The run is relatively easy, and I am way overpowered for the poor Deathbird who got stuck here. He gets ala blasted, and I head up to the elevator to claim my reward, which is a great ghost glovewort. That is so funny, dude. I bet the creators just love that joke. Moving on, let's clean up some new areas that we unlocked, specifically the underground Radahn hole area. After the atrocities committed in Capital, the rest of these running sections feel better. And while it wasn't a great time, I make it to the Mimic Tier arena pretty quickly. And in keeping with all the randomizers, there is yet another Deathbird who is weak as can be. But he does drop Death's Poker, one of the strongest weapons in the game. But you can't use the Ash of War, right? Assassin's Gambit. Use it. Okay, so that's both useless and kind of funny. Beautiful. Moving on, I get to light some torches to unlock my next remembrance. I had some events trying to light these torches, but at this point, I'm used to the abysmal dog shit that is simply attempting to move around in the Nightmare Seed. The only real fun new part here was being blinded for most of the running around, but we get her done. Now I have the pleasure of facing Miquella's victims, the old Radahn Mohg duo fight. In many situations, this would be an awful thing to see, but at this point, it doesn't even feel that bad. I whittle down Radahn pretty quick, and he kills himself trying to hit me with the meteor. So it's just me versus Mohg, and that is not good for old Bloodlord. I have his moveset burned into my mind and have a weapon I really like. So yeah, he gets spanked until he calls me daddy, and I get some golden seeds, which is not a great rune, so L drop. Valiant Gargoyles are the next check in this run, so I do a little bit more blind running, which I really hope isn't gonna be a theme. This shit sucks. To get over to that arena, where I find the blessed Commander Trio, Gaius, O'Neill, and Niall. Also, their names are mixed up, making it impossible to tell which is which. I've already learned some valuable lessons though. Rather than charging in, I back up and wait. This allows me to lure the bosses one at a time and turn it into a gauntlet rather than a clusterfuck. Individually, none of these fights are too bad either. It's a bit tedious more than anything, which I am grateful for, don't get me wrong. Running into the middle of this and imagining all three jumping me is truly one of the worst mental images I've ever conjured. But more importantly, I do actually get this fight done without too much incident, get my drawing room key to do Volcano Manor, and take a coffin up to a waterfall for the next area. And the run to Nokstella starts off pretty well. It's Omega cooked, but I managed to get through to an area named Actual Hell with YouTube Premium. I don't know about the YouTube Premium part, but this is actual hell. Normally you can run around this area and take an elevator down, but that elevator straight up wasn't working. Sick. So I try to run through the middle, and this is the most rancid dog shit I have ever seen.
What hit me? Was that my Gaius? Was that a different guy? Who's Gaius? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I briefly toyed with the idea of fighting the enemies one by one, but like without range stuff to lure them, it's not super doable. So I start my concussion percent runs. There is just so much here that everyone ends pretty much immediately. It's a wash. So I decide to leave this for later, but I'm sure I'll have to come back. It's too awful for me to not have to come back. Instead, I decide to make the run to Volcano Manor to see what's up in this neck of the woods. On the way, I hit a graveyard check and am blessed to find the two-handed sword talisman, which should immediately slot into my build for a damage buff. Glorious. Not too much more is worth mentioning on my way to and through Volcano Manor. I figure I should try to get to Rykard, so before I know it, I'm at Godskin Noble, who is Fire Giant Phase 2, which, okay, that's pretty bad in this arena. But wait, there's more. This creature also does sleep and frost buildup, because why not? Why would he not apply 2 status effects? Okay, this is also just very awful, but it seems doable, as crazy as that sounds. Fire Giant Phase 2 can be a difficult boss, but in actuality, it is a very simple fight. You just gotta dodge his hands, then hit his hands. Easy enough, right? Not really. I only feel confident taking this fight because he can't stall by running away in this arena, and my damage actually seems a bit cracked. It's not like obscene or anything, but Fire Giant is normally much chunkier than this. So I stick out the fight and actually manage to get it done in spite of some sleep and frost procs. Pretty good work if I do say so myself. I get some heals for that and go to check on whatever's in Rykard's arena. The first fight here is Blackblade Kindred Duo. Funny, but not awful, so I get that done. Then I see Phase 2. Yeah, that's Midra and Renala. I'm quickly smoked and decide to make like a tree and fuck off. That's a later me problem. There was a hint earlier about a fort of fire, or whatever the fuck it said. So I go to the Guardian's garrison in Mountaintop, since it's a fort by Fire Giant, so it kind of makes sense. And after running around in here a bit, I find a chest I have literally never seen before that gives the Smithing Stone Bellbearing 3. Very useful, actually. Thank you, funny riddle. Since I'm exploring the mountaintops, I head to Commander Niall, which had an awful run, but the boss was even worse. Meet Fias champs on steroids. We have Bend Over, Mike Hawk, and Hornsent. I used Frost Great Stars for this fight because my damage was abysmal without status effects. And of course, they hit harder than a drunk stepdad on 4th of July, so it's just a great time. I have to go full sweat here and play as patiently as possible. The tech was essentially just to run away until one of them got separated enough for me to go in and land a hit or two. Then I get to start running again. As I'm sure you can see at this point, it was a lot of fun. You can just see the joy in my eyes as I attack this fight. The fact that Mike also has the Halo Scythe to add some ranged attacks into this group is what just really makes it perfect, I think. I died quite a few times here, but fortunately NPCs are pretty stupid, so I can just be very patient and get this done. Eventually it's just me and Mike Hawk, and I beat him till he's down. That was an atrocity, but it didn't feel as bad as I expected. Maybe my expectations are getting ridiculous because of this seed though. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. Behind that clusterfuck is the second half of the Haligtree medallion, so I guess we're going to a new area. I am so excited. I use the Haligtree medallion at the rolled lift, and instead of being put in consecrated, I get to go straight to the Tree of Knowledge, so maybe that's a win. Except for getting down this dumb branch to the first grace is nearly impossible. I'm gonna be real, team. Every running section from here on out is really bad. I'll maybe play some short clips, but unless it's particularly demonic, I think we're going to skirt over the majority of the trauma that happens to me for the sake of the length of the video. I do eventually conquer the branch and make it to the first grace in the Haligtree. From here, the run to get the elevator to Loretta up and running will haunt me forever, but wasn't bad enough to show off. I do find Royal Knight's Resolve along the way, which has an argument for being one of the best Ashes of War in the game. With the first part of the Haligtree unlocked, I get to fight Loretta's replacement. This is literally my least favorite boss in the game. Luckily, I found some tech, so I'm gonna let this fight speak for itself.
Okay, that works. Alabaster Lord Sword just made this less ass. I just have to kill enough of them to not die, and we should be good right here. There we go.
I do hate Lamenter, but that Alabaster tech might have just changed my opinion. Anyways, we get through to Haligtree proper from there, and coming up is maybe the most vile running section in this game outside of the DLC. Rather than explaining to you what happened to my mental health in this area and my half hour of deaths, I'm just going to let you watch the run.
Might as well go the other way, if that's gonna happen. Why is there no fucking grace right here? Nexus. Okay. I just moved it. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Oh my god.
Okay, I made that look a lot better than it was. The other path through is absolutely impossible though, and I tried that first, so just take my word for it. My next challenge in getting through here is the Rot Pond. You move slowly on this surface, and there's about 20 abysmal enemies all stacked on this. It was looking legitimately impossible if I'm being fully honest. So instead of concussion percenting this run, I looked to my riddles. One in particular stood out. If your legs don't work like they used to before, reach the Tree of Hope and find the catalyst for the Soul Sucker. This meant nothing to me outside of the pond making me move funny, so I felt like it was a hint for crossing this diabolical section. With the help of chat, I eventually came to the realization Soul Sucker could be Dung Eater, and apparently one of the seedbed curse thingies you use in that quest line can be found in the Haligtree. So upon finding that out, I find that location and am rewarded with Quick Step. Okay, that's actually massive. However, even with Quick Step, this run is not free. It's so easy to get pushed off the ledge if you follow the waterfall, and if you go around the island in the middle, you just get cornered in the lake by all the big enemies. This is a mess, but I'm sure I'll get it eventually. Holy fucking Christ, dude. And once again, the complete version looks so easy. Just do that. It's not like it took 45 minutes to get that lucky. Having conquered the Haligtree, I decide to make Alabasters a +9 before facing whatever awaits me beyond Melania's Foggate. And the new boss is Gideon the Knower. Here are some fun facts about the Knower. 1, he cannot be micro-staggered, so everything you know about fighting NPCs goes out the window. 2, his spells were handpicked to be the 5 absolute worst spells he could possess. I'm not kidding. The modders told me they spent a lot of time on finding the actual worst combination, and this is it. 3, he also has heals, because fuck you, why not? No shot I am doing this right now. Let's go be anywhere else. I guess I'm gonna go to Shaded Castle. Elimer is a major boss and therefore a check, and also it's a way to avoid all the other horrors I've seen so far. And this proves to be wise, as although the running section through this castle is ass and does suck the soul from my body, it is manageable. Okay, the fact that I'm calling this manageable is cope. Look at this dog water. I've been broken by this run. Anyways, who's Elimer? Oh yay, another one of my favorite bosses. We are just cooking, dude. Horsack sucks. If you've watched my channel, you know I hate him. You also know I fight him a lot. So even though I have a giant dragon in a small room, it's fine. It helps that I'm shitting out damage. So before long, the dragon falls, and I must be a wizard because our 3rd great rune was here. Let's fucking go. All right, well, all that's left is awful running sections. Let's go give Nokstella another go. I'm sure this won't take too long.
That might help. I don't know where Gaius ended up right there, but it could help. That could help. Holy shit.
Actually, it didn't take that long. Wow. I mean, it feels like luck to get through any of these sections, but that one especially, I have no idea how I pulled it off. Up next in my journey through the depths of my sanity is the Lake of Cringe. And actually, the Lake of Rot is essentially unchanged. There's literally just a shit ton of the sleep-shooting gummy worms from the DLC. Bro, who thought of this? My health bar is huge, so this isn't a massive issue. This is just a particularly slow run through the Lake of STDs. I've never actually taken time to sightsee here, and honestly, not worth it. It's ugly as fuck. Having made it through that wonderful experience, I can fight Astel now. And by Astel, I mean Astel with some Falling Star beasts and baby Astels. Dope, dope, dope. Let's let this one play out in real time.
There we go. I locked the fuck in for that one.
Damn, that might be the only boss fight I first tried this run, but that was first try, and that was my 4th Great Ruin. Feels good, man. Having conquered some dog shit running sections, I feel inspired to return to Ainsel and once again face the atrocity that is here. I died a lot earlier and now trying to face smash this. It's definitely a contender for the actual worst running section in this mod. So with that in mind, I'll let you appreciate the glory of the river run.
Be able to just go this way. Holy shit.
And as a reward for making it to that grace, I get a somewhat free run to my next boss, the demi-human Vanguard, which is actually 6 bosses. You heard me, 6 bosses. It's 2 Onses, 2 demi-human queens, and 2 demi-human chieftains. I only have to kill the 2 queens, but don't worry, the rest of the enemies are intrusive enough that I have to kill all of them. This is going to be a long fight. The strategy I have is already proving effective though. Rather than make any attempt to get into the middle of this, I desperately try to aggro the enemies one at a time. If I can get them isolated individually, these are not hard fights. 6 in a row is a lot to ask, but it's much better than the alternative of attempting to enter the gangbang, guns blazing. It is a painfully slow, mentally and emotionally draining game of pulling each dude over to me, but I get it done. It helps that my weapons are a bit overleveled and most of these are again easy fights, but in theory this is criminal. I do eventually whittle them all down, and my reward? Radahn's Great Rune, baby. That's number 5. All right, I'm starting to see that the Great Runes are hidden behind the awful fights, so I return to Rykard to face my reckoning. Step 1, back-to-back BBK fights. So I'm actually pretty decent at fighting these guys. I played an Elden Ring game called Bingo that is essentially just racing objectives in the game, and one of those objectives was to kill a BBK. So I've spent quite a bit of quality time fighting these guys very underleveled, and since I can fight them one at a time, this is a manageable battle. Not great, and I imagine there are plenty of people who would lose their minds here, but I think it's okay. Phase 2 is different. Fighting Rennala and Midra at the same time sounds impossible. Let's see what I can do.
What did you make her summon? Come on. Holy shit.
That was just a blast. I do acquire my 6th Great Rune here, which means I am very close to being able to unlock Elden Beast. With that in mind, I return to the mountaintops to kill the fire giant replacement and get to Farum. I cut this out earlier because it was dog shit, but throughout this run so far, I've come back to try this boss several times and had 0 luck. Unironically, at least a couple hours so far have been spent here already, but I didn't want to spoil the fun earlier. Fire Giant is a 2-phase arena, so we have 2 bosses back to back here. And up first is Borealis with lobsters. This honestly got a giggle out of me when I first saw it, and thankfully it's not that awful. Borealis is the worst dragon, don't get me wrong, but at this point I am a broken shell of a man, and the fact that this is just a regular boss fight makes me appreciate it. Can't believe I'm saying that about this guy of all bosses. I do end up beating him though, and now you get to see the boss that has stopped my progression, and that I have hidden from you thus far, the true Omen twins.
Honestly needed that. I just need to be patient. I have not gotten one of them down this far literally ever. This could be the run. Okay. Does it just not work? Oh, get fucked. None of that. Oh, we're making headway. We're finally making moves.
In an unbelievable turn of events, I killed Mohg and Morgott and can now finally go to Farum. We on the come up now. The initial run through Farum is uneventful outside of one thing, and I feel like you should see that without me talking.
Free item. What you got? I should have expected that.
I don't know why I thought that hand wouldn't be immortal and one-shot me. That's my bad. Anyways, the rest of Farum is chill up until right before the Godskin duo. Of course, the last stretch is abysmal. There's just too many big enemies and lightning balls and all sorts of bullshit on this floating island. But it's like Mama says, if you don't get it at first, stop sucking and go again. Wait, I think it's Bushy that said that. Same difference.
Oh, he's coming. Oh. Wait. Oh. There is no way I can make it up this ladder without getting knocked off. Let's go. It was all a part of the plan. TM.
That was literally the greatest running section save of my life. We take those. And with that, I've officially made it to Godskin Duo, which has naturally been converted into Crucible Knight Trio, because why not? We got Siluria, Ordovis, and Devonia. Very fun. Once again, boss aggro is going to be my best friend here, as I do manage to lure Ordovis into a corner for a little 1v1 action. This is probably the most straightforward fight. I have the most practice with Sword Knights. I get some clean parries and take advantage of my knowledge to clear him out without losing too many flasks. Up next is Siluria, and this is more of the same. I'm doing a little more damage here, so it feels a bit better, and I've honestly always felt a little better in this fight personally. It's just a matter of not getting caught by the long poke when I heal, and the grab that comes out super quickly. I get the Spear Wielder down, and now it's time for Devonia. This is a much more unique fight, as it can only be found in the DLC, and many of you may have never chosen to take on this fight. Even with decent battles for the first two, I used about half my heals, so this should be something.
Holy shit.
Not bad. I was nervous there, but another first try boss and some smithing bell bearing 4s for my work. Not too shabby. Obviously, the rest of the run through Farum sucks, but it's nothing too crazy. I do manage to pull off a casual bird skip, which lets me dodge most of the running, so maybe that's why it didn't feel that bad. For those who don't know, bird skip is a very goated skip, mostly used for hitless and speedruns, that dodges most of the later running in Farum. With that out of the way, I've arrived at Malekith. This is another two-phase fight, and at this point, I'm fucking paranoid about what that could mean. Phase 1 starts off hot, with a bit of finger mommy materia action, and quite frankly, this appears to be a regular fight? I'm suspicious, but as I keep blasting away at her, nothing untoward appears to be happening. I would later find out that when she normally spawns in baby hands, they can be immortal hands or more mateers. I had the good fortune of never seeing that as I finish her off. The second boss is just Cumbug Duo. They do have the stone skin effect where when I hit them, my weapon bounces off, which is weird, but not a big deal because I'm blasting damage. So I clear them out, and thanks to some good luck, that wasn't that bad. And we're on to the capital, which has been renamed to Dune 4, Le Messiah. Alright, I guess, why not? On my way to Gideon, I find a somber tin as well, which is pretty cool. Gideon is a weird one. I run in to see 7 bird warriors and a Miranda. I later would find out these bird guys do in fact one-shot you, so I'm glad I decided to rip alabaster on them. That would have sucked if they started running around. Instead, they are all dead and I am left to blast Miranda, my beloved, which is actually very free.
Oh, bro. They thought they were gonna hit me with the fucking divine birds. Nah, alablasters, son.
We take those though. GG's. From here, it's straight to Horaloo, another 2-phaser. Phase 1 is just a classic tree scent duo fight, and I mean actually classic. We do have to fight both at once here. Oddly enough, I've never done this. In base game, it's so easy to fight them one-on-one, I've just never made the mistake of aggroing both of them, and it kinda sucks. Like, this is a clusterfuck. As soon as I think I can hit one, the other one shoves a halberd up my ass, and it's just truly the optimal Souls experience. I've been leveling Vig though, so my healthy red bar just carries me in this fight. I decide I can afford to trade hits here and there, and sometimes I get to hit both of them. It's a wonderful, chaotic mess, and I'm kinda here for it. I wipe them off the floor, and now we can all deal with phase 2 together.
Phase 1 is tree scent duo, followed by the worst thing I think I've ever seen in my life. Okay, not horrendous. Okay. Watchdog with his dogs. How strong is the watchdog? He's got a lot of health.
Once I killed all the dogs in this fight, it got weird. Mr. Watchdog just doesn't want to live without his dogs, I guess. And he just starts driving into a wall in an attempt to escape this cold, cruel world. I assist him in this endeavor. It takes a while, but I do eventually conquer him, and with that, we now just need 1 great rune to get to Elden Beast, and allegedly from there, into the DLC. And I'm tired of running from my fears. It's time to face Gideon the Knower. I'm pretty sure he has my final great rune.
Is that 2 heals or 1 heal? Anybody keeping count? I'm not. For sure 2 now. I think it might have been 3. He's out of heals, and I am not. This is big. That is huge. That is big, nasty, massive. Alright, we just need to be patient now. 7 great runes, finally.
Holy shit. That is one of the worst things I could imagine, but the deed is done. I am ready to finally finish off the base game of the Nightmare Seed. So I enter the Mighty Tree, and up first, I have a Knight's Cav. A simple enough boss, but that is simply because he is not meant to be a battle. The Knight's Cav heralds the arrival of the Absolute, the true boss that is both the beginning and the end. Shiffra. For the record, Shiffra is the modder behind this whole seed. A 2-man team of Shiffra and Nexus made this whole thing. Nexus was the idea guy, Shiffra brought it to life. It's only fitting that he would be our final battle before we enter the endgame. Enjoy the glory of the Absolute.
Heal. A lot of chip damage here. I can deal with that. How does that keep hitting me? Should be able to get a lot of damage in here. Just keep the charged R2s going. Why does the beast look like that? This is Oedon, the Absolute. Hell yeah, we solved that problem. Oh no. Okay, bitch, I lived. What's up, Wolfie? Good to see ya. Hey-yah. 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 Alright. I should be able to get close to finishing phase 1 right here. There's... Now we got phase 2. Heal. We have to kill Shiffra. Hell yeah, alright.
Alright, that's a wrap on the base game essentially. However, the seed is not done. The final goal of the seed is to beat Promise Consort in the DLC, so we are like halfway there. With the Pureblood Knight's Medal from Shiffra, I can fast travel into Mohgwyn and make the very doable run to Mohg's Arena, where I find Esger with bleed birds. Truly a joyful sight. Luckily, Esger is an idiot and runs away from the birds, taking them out of the equation. Thank Christ for that. I'm absolutely chunking him, and he goes down pitifully. And with that, I am out of what the creators call the tutorial and can now embark on the true challenge that is the DLC.
Alright, I trust absolutely fucking nothing here.
This is a good time to explain how the DLC works. Normally, you need Mesmer's Kindling to burn the Sealing Tree and get to Promise Consort Radahn. That has been changed. Now the Kindling has been split into shards, and I will need to find 16 Kindling shards to get to Inner Elim. Where are these shards, you ask? Well, they can be at pretty much any boss. Yeah, this is going to be a blast. Early on in the DLC, I find a rather large problem. I am trapped in the plains. There are 2 ways to get out of here. One is Tombstone Skip, which involves scaling this cliff. Unfortunately, there are like 5 baby Astels here guarding the cliff and each other, so that's a no-go. The other way is the bridge that leads into Insis. However, this is also just a calamity and a half. There is so much shit on this bridge. So, I have 2 awful choices in front of me. I guess I'll keep attempting the skip then. I just have to get lucky with the Astel targeting for this. And after a few minutes, that's exactly what happens. I get a very clean start to the skip and don't get knocked off torrent. Once I'm up a bit, the bottoms of these stones shield me from the worst of the damage, and I get to make a quick run over to Teolye. From here, I can just run down to Castle Insis naturally. I am blinded during this run, but I managed to catch a glimpse of the Grace and grab it without too much issue. Now I have to get into Castle Insis, which is ass, but I make it to the first Grace. This is where it got bad. You have to drop down in a little hole here, and there's like 3 machine gun sorcerers fucking ready in here. Alright, plan B. There is a second skip I can use down the cliff by Teolye to get to the Spirit Spring up to Ford of Reprimand. This skip is a bit finicky, but I do manage to make it down, and then I just have to kill a few gummy worms so I can run. Somehow I make it past a few Golem Archers and a baby Astel to finally get to the spring. We are getting somewhere, gentlemen. Or not. Yeah, why would the Spirit Spring work? That would be dumb, right? Why would I be able to go forward in the game? That doesn't make any sense.
Nah, maybe it was a glitch. Maybe it was a glitch.
Alright, since I'm down here anyways, I can take an alternative route to Cerulean Coast. That lets me avoid Ancient Dragon Man. We make lemonade out of our lemons in this run. And the DLC is just gross. I have no Skidoo yet, but a giant health bar. But everything in this area appears even more deranged than the base game. And Torrent is also just randomly disabled in some areas in the coast. It's pretty cool around here. I decide to go back to the start and try the Western Mausoleum, just to get something done. In here are Tired Guy and Sleepy Boy. It's just the Nox duo, but they inflict sleep. Earlier, this would have been really annoying, but at this point, I've long accepted my fate. Everything must be either irritating, funny, or abysmal dog shit. We will have no easy fights or joy. We've descended too far into the depths of hell, and there's no way back now. I should have just stopped after Shura, man. With no Skidoo fragments, I still managed to kill these guys though and get my first of 16 kindling shards. To start at least. From there, I go to do the only other check really available to me, which would be the Ghost Flame Dragon, aka a demi-human queen. This isn't too bad, and I make some quick work here, but no shard, and now I have some decisions to make. I decide to go to Bellarat next, and oh boy, lock in. This is a journey. Even getting to the door into Bellarat at first appears impossible. The run up to the Morgrace is really bad. I get blinded immediately, and then Radahn and Matir fuck me. So I get sneaky. By crouching hard up the left side, I can avoid aggroing most of the initial enemies. Then I just have to hop on Torrent and sprint to the next Grace.
I changed my mind. That's very doable.
Goated. That's the first problem down. The run to the next Grace at the start of Bellarat, now called Ley Vatican, is not quite as bad, and I managed to get there pretty quickly. This next section is once again evil. I try to run through the normal way, and the door you normally go through is blocked by Telu and snipers. So instead, I pull out another devious skip in my arsenal. This is Tree Skip. By standing on this tree, I can pause and buffer a sprint. So as soon as I exit the menu, I can sprint jump from effectively standing still to get to this roof. From here, it's just a little running to get to the Grace that was previously blocked. Suck on that, Shura. Sadly, it only gets worse from here. The entire run up to the Dancing Lion is just pain and suffering, so I quickly give it up. There is a key item check here though where there's normally a key. This is one of the 4 key checks that isn't a boss. I just have to do a really sneaky little wiggle past this chariot in the doorway and I get the item. 3 Skidoo. Based, honestly, we needed that. Skidoo level 2, here I come. Okay, so Insis and Bellarat are cooked like well done steaks. I guess I'm actually gonna go try Ancient Dragon Man to get to the bosses behind him. And I'm gonna say it again, this cave is ass. There's all sorts of ranged attacks and shit in here. It's the worst. Luckily, I've uncovered some tech. If I fall when I use the Ash of War on Alabaster, I can pull enemies in and stop them from fucking me as I land. I use this here to stop all these machine gun sorcerers from annihilating me, and this gives me a moment to stand up and run to the actual ADM fight. Very nice. And boy oh boy, is this next one fun. We have finally found Valiant Gargoyles. But besides being an eventual duo fight in a very small arena, there is one added facet here. The poison cloud they spew on the ground not only does damage and adds poison, but it also adds rot. Dude, so cool, so fun. I literally cannot imagine a better time than this. Are you having a good time? I'm having a great time. As I mentioned earlier though, I've done a lot of gargoyle practice, so even though this could be some people's actual worst nightmare, I managed to perform decently. I mean, I run through all my heals, and I am poisoned, but I managed to put down the second garg before either of those things become a problem. Guess I'm just a goat like that. That unlocks the Jagged Peak, and now I have access to a few bosses. So hopefully I can scrape together some skidoo and get a bit stronger for the horrors ahead. First up is a baby falling star beast, and honestly my damage isn't great here, but this might be one of the freest fights in Elden Ring. So I just get to work and clean up this silly little goose for the reward of nothing. Sick. Up next in this line is a tree sentinel, whomst I murder, and who also gives me nothing. At least the bosses aren't bad if they don't have rewards. The next boss I see is the trio, which is all 3 types of tree boss in Elden Ring. I'm not dealing with that right now, so we move on to Baal. What could be at the peak, you ask? Well, there's only one answer. It's nobody. At the top of nowhere. That's right, we got motherfucking Gale in this mod. He does shit on me really hard, so I leave to reassess the situation, but that's cool. After getting my face wiped on the floor, I decide it's time to make the blaster a +10 weapon for just a bit more damage. I guess Bellarat feels like the most doable thing right now, so let's give the last running stretch to the boss another go.
It's not possible. Always good to hear. I'm gonna just rip this shit. Holy shit. Holy shit, he's doing it. Go. Stop. That's fine. All right.
There it is, our first major boss reached in the DLC. And what do we have? 99% sealed Cambria, the honored one. While you watch me not succeed, let me give you some lore on this boss. This one almost didn't make it into the mod. The scaling was so off the charts that it was pretty much impossible to kill. So in a last-ditch effort, Shiffra and Nexus set the scaling to 0.001% of the true power. And that's what you're watching one-shot me. Pretty cool, right? Anyways, this is another later problem. Now that I have some skidoo, I decided to try to clear out some of the leftover bosses. First up, I go to the Deathbird, who is now a Dawn. A very annoying NPC scaled up, but still just an NPC. So I Glock in and beat him up for the reward of nothing again. This is getting old. Also, you may have noticed the timer changed. That is because it goes to 24 hours, then resets. So if you were gonna ask why that happened, there you go. I did check a few other bosses here, but they weren't doable, and I don't want to spoil, so let's move on to the next adventure. Insis. The next adventure is Insis. I managed to clear the machine gun guys using the same tech from the ADM cave, but I lost the timestamp of when I went back and did that. So unless Mr. Editor finds that on accident, we're just gonna skip the first part of the run I did earlier. It wasn't that bad after I got the sorcerers with the blaster though. The second running section is the biggest piece of shit though. And rather than explain why, I'll let you see why.
Oh, yeah, it's just a bad attempt. It's over. I could probably rip a heal right here. Jesus Christ.
I can't believe I survived that machine gun guy with 1 HP. That was the luckiest run, and sometimes luck is better than skill.
Probably a little too undertuned, to be honest. You guys probably could have done some stuff there. Maybe like, I don't know, a couple more of the wiener guys that make you sleep. That could have been cool.
I do go back to the chest right before the elevator, which is one of the other key item checks in the DLC, and it is 4 Skidoo and the whole Aladdin necklace. Huge, to be honest. With that, I'm at Skidoo level 4, and I get to see what replaces R'hllana. And it's just R'hllana? Not that bad, I guess. I kill her after a couple tries, and wait a minute. What's going on here? Is she re-emerging from the moon? Wait, oh god. Oh, no. That is not good. Code red. Yeah, so it turns out the R'hllana who fucks has a face too, and it is much more devastating. She slaps me silly until I call her mommy and beg for mercy and flee with my tail tucked between my legs. So I bounce around a bit and decide to go fight maybe my favorite fight in concept in this mod, the Ghost Flame Dragon in Cerulean Coast. I make a Holy Colossal Sword for this since they're very weak to holy damage. And you might be saying, Ratty, this is just a regular fight. Wrong. It starts off normal, but once this guy does his little phase transition thing at half health, all the big mouth imps you see circled around me activate. They got me a few times before I switched to this weapon, and I'll let you see why I did that.
Oh, yeah, dude. There we go. I haven't seen damage numbers like that all run. Holy fuck.
Yeah, that was the most damage I've seen this whole game, and thank God. That phase 2 could be atrocious. Just skip it and dodge the problem. Very good tech right there. Next, I decide to take on the Honored One. Why? He definitely has a shard, and I like a challenge. Take what I say next with a grain of salt, because my sanity is slipping and I died a lot here. But outside of having to do this fight hitless, it's actually like not that bad. Never mind, that does sound bad. Let's just see how it goes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just a hitless fight. It's fine. One positive of the DLC is I've been able to finally juice my strength, so my damage is starting to look good. And that boss did have 4 Skidoo, getting me to level 6 and my 3rd Kindling Shard. Things are starting to look up. Before I can consider doing R'hllana or Gale, I need to get stronger. So I decided to do a couple of things, and we're going to speed through these, but don't worry, they all sucked. First, I do the Dancer Mausoleum in Cerulean Coast, which has a second Dancer over Na. So original. This did go better the second time, but I got skunked on the drops. I go to the trio next, and this was less bad than it first appeared, since I can lure them out individually to fight, and I actually have really strong damage now. I take them one by one, and I know I'm broken because this gauntlet feels like a more relaxing time than the actual war crime that it is. My sanity continues to fade into the abyss of the nightmare, and it's happening at a more and more alarming rate. They don't drop any Skidoo, tragically, but they do drop my 4th Kindling Shard, so I guess we call that a dub. No great buffs so far. I decided to pursue one of the riddles I left behind in the base game. One told me to go to the sewers, aka the mines. And this is a good, classic, fun time. We have machine gunners and balls in the pipes and all sorts of stuff that brings forth positive emotions. I do make a detour to kill the Esger replacement after seeing that, and it's just a Dragonkin soldier that I am disgustingly overleveled for. The damage is in my favor recently, and hopefully it stays that way. He does drop Opaline hard tier, which finally gives my Physic Flask some real use, so that detour was worth it. Now I take on the pipes, and they are ass, but as I get lost in here, I do find a Mesmer Soldier Spear, which is really good. I finish off the run through the mines with the usual couple of deaths and mental trauma. Now I can explain why the spear was a good pull while I fight this boss. It has a good synergy with Royal Knight's Resolve. This weapon has a double poke for its heavy attack, and both pokes receive the benefit of the Ash of War. This may make sense to you, but most double hits, like some riposts, use the Ash of War on the first hit only. This means I get obscene damage on heavies. It also has great strength scaling and pierce damage, so this is just very high damage, sexy weapon that I love. Hopefully that was enough glazing that we can see the death of the lion and see that the reward for this endeavor was golden seeds, which isn't awesome, but oh well. At least Deathblight Lion is no longer in the pool of possible enemies. My side quests were not very fruitful, but I'm feeling a bit better, so I guess it's time to head bash Gale.
Dude, I'm so fucking dead right now. Just in actual physical agony.
First, I respec. I had a few useless faith levels, so I just max health, endurance, and strength to use Giant Crusher. Listen, that troll sword inspired me. I have been getting shit on, and there is one truth when this is the case. More damage, more gooder. So instead of learning these fights, I'm gonna start abusing colossal weapons. And to show what a Chad Gale is, I even had to put bleed on this Giant Crusher to try and beat this fight. I'm gonna come clean. I know Gale is peak. I get it. But I've played Dark Souls 3 once and beat him exactly once. I do not know this fight at all. I'm pretty sure this is toned down a bit, and it still sucks. He does way too much damage, and without bleed procs, it would have been even more of a slog. I ended up just using Royal Knight's Resolve and backing up until I found a very free opening to take. It was slow, it was tedious, it was a nightmare. But with perseverance and a splash of mental instability, I do finally make it through.
There it is. Giant Crusher, my beloved. New carry just dropped. Who dis?
For my pain, I am given O Mother and 3 Skidoo, giving me full access to the side areas of the DLC and Skidoo level 8. With that, there's literally only one boss left blocking my path forward, the Rolana who fucks. This was the second most difficult boss for me in this entire mod, and she legitimately almost made me give up. I seriously considered quitting here. Phase 2 just had one insane combo that I could not dodge and always killed me. Hope was faint. My heart grew weary. Darkness was closing in, and the nightmare was all that was left.
That was an early dodge. That one's on me. Alright, time to RNG farm. That's gonna be the grab. Okay, no, it's not. That's actually really good. No. This sucks. I'm gonna be too slow. That was the worst thing I've ever done to myself.
Yeah, so that was literally just an RNG farm. I maxed my damage and just tried to hit her as much as possible, and by God, it worked. Those were hours of my life I can never get back. But holy shit, it is done, and I can play the game again. With the 3 skidoo to get me to level 9, I leave my personal hell slightly more inspired, and certainly much worse off mentally and emotionally than before. After that, I go straight to Hippo, and oh god, it's just Mimic. Yes, it's like I have life again. This is awesome. I'm gonna spit on him. Take it! Taste my blade. Yeah, I'm in a weird mood now. He gave me shard number 5 and even more skidoo to get to level 11, and I feel so much better. The run into Shadowkeep is the usual garbage, just bad enemies, but I am dead inside and eventually make it past them to unlock Shadowkeep proper. Sneaking through the rest of Shadowkeep is equally precarious, but I want to hunt for items. This proves a fruitless endeavor, and I just decide to go start fighting bosses again.
Pearl Shield Talisman. I have no idea what that is. I'm just glad we're back to running through awful shit again.
So I head to the forts first. Fort 1 has a roided up Oraloo, which is saying something because this is already a buff old man. Still, it is a boss I know at least, and after a long fight, he does fall, giving me nothing. Rats. Fort 2 is Rykard, which is funny, and I get to use my fun spear, but it is actually not too awful. I do get skunked again, which is a bummer, and decide to head to the mausoleum by the undersection of Rao next. Here we find Shura's Nightmare, the Cemetery Shade Trio. Objectively, this is one of the worst ideas I've ever heard of. The Holy Sword is still in the inventory though, and it does outlandish damage. I really thought this would be a shard, and it was. Shard 6, almost halfway there now. I run further in this direction and find a trio fight of Golden Hippo, Gaius, and Chief Bloodfiend. That looks god-awful, so we're gonna save it for later. I hit the Oh Mother check next, which is my 3rd of 4 overworld checks, and get enough Skibidi fragments for level 12, which is pretty dope. I decide to head in the direction of Midra, and this was a true anomaly. The run to the first Grace, after taking the coffin down, was just depressing. The cliffs were lined with a new and equally evil lineup of enemies that attempted to stop me, but I'm dead inside, and have no fear of head bashing a dumpster fire. The run to Rakshasa was equally stinky, but I just ripped through this awful section in record time, 10 minutes and a couple tries, to finally see what awaits me. It's Godfroy and Godric. Brother, who thought of this? The spear is back out, since I want some reach here so I don't have to get too close to the clusterfuck that is these 2 gooners. If this was in like the Fire Giant arena, it would still be annoying. But in these close quarters, it feels borderline impossible to do damage without trading. So I embrace the DPS race. I know I just have to get 1 down and the second one will be easy. So I try to get as many Royal Knights resolve charge attacks as I can and throw caution to the wind. And it kinda works. I get Godfroy down with no heals left. This is what I asked for. Luckily, the damage is goated, and with only one of these guys, it is much harder to get hit. I abuse him and am blessed with my 7th shard for my suffering. I do attempt the run to Darklight and Midra after that, but it's ass, and I don't want to. So I pivot. I will need the back section of Shadowkeep unlocked, so I guess that's up next. This area was brutal. I start off by having to kill a bunch of sleepy worms just so I can actually do the run. Once they're dead, it's up the broken wall and onto the chariot ledge. This jump killed me more than any other, but I did eventually just tech that shit and make it. That section took me 20 minutes to get though. So once I'm into the church, I'm just praying it's not horrendous. And it is, but at this point, the bar is in hell, and I just run through to get the back section grace. From here, I can run to Gaius, and the rafters were equally bad. Look at this.
There we go.
Yeah, they really just started throwing shit around in the DLC, huh? Now we get to see Gaius, and Attack on Titans fans rejoice. It is the Rumbling, aka like 20 magic golems in an arena. I immediately noticed something was off as I was hitting all these golems and the health bar didn't go down. After puzzling about this for almost a half hour, I remembered. Ladder. So I start looking around. This is a large area with a lot of brush though, and it takes a while, but I do eventually spot a little guy running around. And once I hit him, I solved the dilemma.
We found it. It was a ladder situation. Shard.
He gives unto me shard number 8, and that's half of what I need officially. Also, the drops after guys had axe talisman, so that's sick. With that done, I can head into the hinterlands. The first boss here is ADM, a simple enough fight at this point in the run, and he gets worked just to skunk me. The next boss is Rakshasa, another normally very annoying boss, but like I'm so broken, it doesn't even phase me. It's a little longer than the ADM fight, but I'm walking on air at this point seeing regular enemies, and I acquire shard 9 in record time. The last boss here is a golem. So easy. Thank you, benevolent creators. He has nothing though, which fair enough, makes sense. I guess Mesmer is next. I just took a simpler route through the rafters to get here, and it was much more chill. Mesmer starts off bad. We have a rune bear and a pumpkin head. A strange couple. Fortunately, the spear is doing the spear things I need it to, and both of these guys get chunked by charge R2s now that I also have the axe talisman. Before long, I drop the pumpkin head, and it's on to phase 2. Wormface and company. Okay, we are back to abysmal dog shit, dude. I did develop tech for this fight. First, I run. I need to separate Wormface and his shitlings. Second, I start ripping charged R2s with Alablaster to weaken Wormface so I can get a poise break. And when that happens, we hit phase 3, Spear Poke. Boom! Look at that damage. I am a golden god. Shard 10 and Skidoo level 14 are mine. What next, Nexus Insura? Fear me. Okay, Midra is my next victim. The tombstone I normally use to get down to Darklight is gone, so instead we get another running section. It's bad. It's so bad. We have all the worst enemies on this run, but I can no longer feel anything. The light has left my body, and I throw my lifeless corpse at this until I conquer it. Darklight is actually a little better of a run. I mean, it's still awful, but my unfeeling soul can no longer process the pain I am enduring. And also, I know some skips, so I avoid a lot of it. At the bottom of Darklight is maybe the worst boss in base Elden Ring. 2 virgins. But like the god I am, I foresaw this long ago. I upgraded a Stormhawk axe to +9. I just knew these 2 fucks were gonna be somewhere, and I was ready. I see through your lies, modders. I cannot be befuddled or swindled by your trickery. I cannot predict everything, but I know some things for certain, and I knew these 2 would be somewhere. I have once again cooked. The run through the forest is more of the same. Randomly placed bosses, involuntary blindness, truly an atrocity. But at this point, it is nothing we haven't seen before, and I will not be stopped on my quest to Midra. Also, they let us have Torrent here for a bit, so I get to zoom through it. Once I reach the manse, I'm feeling good again. Getting through here is still just zero fun. It's all the usual suspects that just make running hard in cramped spaces. Nothing we haven't seen before, so let's just keep it moving. Before long, I'm at Midra, and this fight starts off so goofy. 1, there's a god hand in the arena. Cool. 2, Mini Midra is a hare on a horse, and the horse is programmed to run away. Also cool. Once you do kill that though, you are faced with Rick, Lord of the Frenzied Flame. Spoiler alert, he does one-shot you. So this is a very gimmicky and once again tedious fight. Having already learned my lessons here, I played it very safe. I would use my Ash of War to get in some range damage, and it would stagger Rick. Then I get a free riposte for my efforts and a follow-up hit. It's slow, grueling work, but it is an effective strategy with no counter. So the Soldier of God Rick does eventually fall to my hand, blessing me with my 11th shard for my work. Okay, putrescent horse bone man time. I'm gonna start really glossing over running sections now because y'all have seen what they contain. Like, this is still hot shit. They left in the snipers and added a bunch of random enemies and bosses in that just make navigating it so fucking painful. The weird thing is, I have started to get good finally, and I got through here pretty fast, even though it was one of the worst sections I've had to do recently. God, this is just breaking me for real. And now we're at the boss. I like this one, so I'm just gonna let it play.
I do like how Chris's hopes and dreams die in phase 2. That's always fun. Or just right there. I hate how that hits now. How dare they take my strafe. There it is.
That was an awesome fight. Hard but fun. And I got shard 12. The end feels close. Next, I decide to do Scadutree Avatar. So I drain the water and make the rundown. Oddly enough, this was one of the least dogshit runs. Probably because there's no enemies in most of it. Now I want you all to prepare yourselves for the best boss in the game. Are you ready? It's T-Rex Man. I would die for him. He is somehow both cute and menacing.
Oh, that is a dude on a T-Rex. Holy shit. That's fucking sick.
The only downside of this fight is that he doesn't have more health for me to appreciate him for longer. This is actually also just the DTS moveset ported onto a different model, so like it isn't anything crazy. But god damn if he isn't the coolest thing I've ever seen. Rest in peace, T-Rex Man. Thank you for my 13th shard. Now I spend 15 minutes trying to get through Rao, which honestly isn't even that bad.
Honestly, that might have been perfect timing.
Rot Pond alone was like an hour, and somehow this is going faster, even though it is objectively worse. I've just developed a sixth sense for feeling the hits coming. An area looks kind of safe, there's definitely an invisible Black Knife assassin. Things are a little too quiet, definitely about to get hit in the back. Once you've lived in the nightmare for 30 hours, you start to develop a sense for these things. So I make it through, and now I have options. I decide Deathblight Dancing Lion is my next victim. Romana can wait. After a short run, I find my next abuser. Malekith and Radahn. Brother, I thought we were done with this gimmick. Fortunately, I am truly shitting damage at this point and have adapted to this brand of hell. I kite Malekith out first, since he's more aggressive. By keeping the pillars between us and Radahn, I can essentially try to 1v1 the cat. This obviously has a time limit as Radahn will not stay away forever, but I'm able to blast hard enough that that doesn't become a factor. Once the kitty dies, it's just me and the Ginger Lord. No real notes about this fight. I have to face him in every challenge run. This is like riding a bike, and with a poise abuse weapon like Alabasters, I make very short work of America's husband to get my 14th shard. Alright, there's only one boss besides Romana that could have my final shard. I return to the trio of Gaius, Hippo, and Bloodfiend. And I'm not proud to admit, I almost quit here. Individually, none of these bosses are too bad, and I do get to fight them one at a time. The problem is, I'm very mid at Gaius and Hippo, and I've never fought the Chief. I really struggled to get through these first two fights without wasting too many heals, and I'm left with an easy boss I don't know, so he kept killing me. It was infuriating. This was the second time I threatened to give up.
Bro, I might be done with this shit. I still have like 3 really bad fights left, and I don't want to do this one. This is just fucking annoying. Like, none of these are hard bosses. It's just completely disproportionate to the rest of everything else I fought so far in terms of scaling.
I was on full tilt trying to deal with all the dog shit I was experiencing, and there was no grace in how I was handling it.
Alright, here we go. Fucking RNG farm. What are we getting? What kind of fucking dog shit are you gonna do? Bro, this is so ass. Oh, we got good RNG. Look at that. Boss is just dead. Super cool. I did fucking nothing. This is just so fun, dude.
This fight, once again, sucked my soul straight out my asshole. I did eventually get the first 2 down with 4 heals left, and it was time to face the Fiend. This guy isn't hard, but I was scared. He has very low poise, but without knowing timings, I was too scared to go in and rip charged heavies. He did enough damage to be scary, and the result of these circumstances is me keeping my distance and only going in on a few attacks I thought I could punish. After all the truly difficult fights, it was a base game boss I hadn't experienced that offered the highest degree of stress and anger in me. That's crazy.
Jesus Christ. It was the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
I do finally succeed and get shard 15, much more humbled and embarrassed by what it took to get it. Finally, we can do Romana and get our last shard. This fight was cool, so let's just run it.
Oh, this is janky. What the fuck? What's going on here? Let me heal at least. Well, this thing is fucking not... Alright, here we go. God damn, this sucks. Can we lock on, please? There we go. What's phase 2? I don't trust this at all. Oh, it's dead. Okay.
Weird. Very cool boss there. But that was not my 16th shard. What did I forget? Oh, duh. The Ghost Flame Dragon by Fort of Reprimand. This would have been awful earlier. It's Jory surrounded by a bunch of holy light beam summoning dudes. At this point though, I can just run around and one-shot them, so they aren't too much of a problem. Jory himself though, well, he's susceptible to backshots, and I'm something of a backshot bandit myself. I make quick work of him, and bang, there it is, shard 16. I finally get to burn the tree and head to Inner Elim. The end is nigh. And I could talk about how bad this run is, but you know the drill.
What the fuck is that?
Let's just get to Lita and Co., where I'm sure we're in for a good time. Nexus came in at this point to say summons are allowed for this fight.
Nexus, am I allowed to summon Natan? You are? Oh shit, for real?
So I grab Nathan like the coward I am and get started.
There we go. I mean, Logervike is pretty bad. Granted, I do so much damage it doesn't matter, but... Get in there, Nathan. I need you to distract him. That's my goat. Nathan! There is no third. I killed Hornsent. So we only get 2.
With that, Inner Elim is done, and only the final boss remains. There are some pickups we can get though. A riddle was added to the Discord for the mod for Inner Elim. It led me back into Elim, down the elevator before Lita, to the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. It's a great pickup, and now it's just the last boss. Before that though, there are some thank yous from the creators to all the other mods they used in creating this abomination.
Special thanks to Mikola the Unalloyed on Nexus mods for Rolana and Melania overhauls. Special thanks to Garden of Eyes. Special thanks to the Blue Hood 35 on Nexus mods for the Godfrey overhaul. A very special thanks to you, the player, from the malicious and evil creators.
And the final boss is Melania. And not just base Melania, unalloyed Melania, considered one of the hardest modded versions of this boss. I'm sure it can't be that bad though. Oh, it's bad. It's so bad. For the record, there are 4 phases in this fight. 4. In my couple of hours here, I saw the 4th one once. After hours of attempts, I do settle on an optimal build. That's max armor with the Great Jar Arsenal, two-handed talisman, axe talisman, and spiked tear for damage, and Dragon Crest Great Shield with Opaline Hard Tear to try and survive. This is all I can come up with. I have all my stats in health, strength, and endurance. There's nothing else to do but try. Watch the timer jump here.
That sucks. I hate when she does that. Sucks. There we go. Walk in, twin.
Oh! Oh! Ah! Ah! Holy fuck! The nightmare is over! The nightmare is over! Holy shit, dude! That's insane, bro. That is the most fucked shit I've ever done in my life. And that's it. That's how I became the third player to ever beat the Nightmare Seed. It was by far the hardest thing I've ever done in Elden Ring. The link to the Discord for the mod will be in the description if you want to play it yourself. Thank you to Shiffra and Nexus for making it. This is the most energy and time I've ever put into a video. And I hope you all enjoyed watching my pain, suffering, and eventual triumph. Until next time, be good, be kind. Adios.